On the outskirts of a small town stood an old house, its weathered facade cloaked in shadows. The paint peeled like sunburnt skin, and the windows, dark and hollow, seemed to watch passers-by with an eerie gaze. Local children dared each other to approach, sharing whispered tales of strange happenings within its walls. They spoke of flickering lights, unsettling noises at night, and a chill that wrapped around the building like a ghostly embrace. The house had been abandoned for years, rumored to be haunted by the spirits of its last occupants. Neighbors claimed they had heard laughter echoing at dusk and seen flickers of movement behind the curtains long after the sun had set. Yet despite its reputation, the allure of the unknown drew some families seeking a fresh start, ignoring the warnings that lingered in the air like a bad smell. As fate would have it, the Johnson family arrived one foggy afternoon, their hopes high and excitement buzzing in their hearts. Little did they know, they were about to uncover the house's dark secrets, and one door in particular would change everything. As the Johnson family pulled up to the old house, excitement filled the air. Tom and Lisa, the parents, exchanged glances, their hearts swelling with hope. They were ready for a fresh start, eager to leave behind their busy city life. Their two children, Max and Sophie, jumped out of the car, eyes wide with wonder as they took in their new home. Max, a curious 9-year-old with a wild imagination, rushed toward the front porch, while 6-year-old Sophie clutched her stuffed bunny tightly, her adventurous spirit barely hiding her unease about their new surroundings. "Look at this place!" Max shouted, his voice echoing against the aging walls. He ran his hand over the peeling paint and gravel-strewn yard as if trying to connect with the house and its hidden stories. Lisa smiled at her children but couldn't shake a slight shiver that danced down her spine. Tom laughed it off, insisting that they focus on unpacking and decorating their new home. Unbeknownst to them all, dark shadows lingered in each corner of the house, waiting patiently for someone to discover their secrets, and soon they would. As the Johnsons settled into their new home, they began to notice something odd about one particular door at the end of a narrow hallway. The door, painted a faded green, led to a small room filled with dust and shadows. No matter how firmly they pushed it shut, it would swing open again, creaking as if protesting against their attempt to keep it closed. Tom decided to fix it, thinking a simple adjustment to the hinges would solve the problem. Yet, after tightening the screws and ensuring everything was in place, the door still refused to cooperate. "It's just old," he shrugged, attempting to ease Lisa's growing concern. Still, the door seemed alive in its defiance, and it drew Max's attention like a magnet. Max couldn't resist making jokes about it, calling it the door with a mind of its own. Sophie watched nervously from a distance, clutching her bunny tightly as she sensed something strange about it. Each time they walked by, an unsettling chill filled the air around the door, hinting that this small room held secrets meant to stay hidden. As the days turned into nights, the Johnson family began to hear eerie sounds emanating from behind the stubborn door. At first, they brushed it off as typical house-settling noises, but as the nights grew darker, the whispers started creeping into their dreams. Soft and unintelligible, they were barely audible but sent shivers down Lisa's spine whenever she lay in bed, wide awake beside Tom. Max and Sophie, trying to be brave, shared ghost stories in whispers under their covers, often giggling nervously before silence reigned again. But it wasn't long before even their laughter faded into unease. They would hear faint scratching, like fingernails dragging across wood, echoing through the hallways in the stillness of night. Each sound felt trapped behind that door, scratching at its invisible barrier, yearning to break free. The children clung to their stuffed animals as they strained to listen more closely while their parents exchanged worried glances, unsure of what was happening in their home. Sleep became elusive as dread filled the air. The door, with its unyielding defiance, seemed to pulse with an energy that hinted at secrets waiting to be uncovered, and nightmares ready to unfold. Amid the strange sounds echoing from behind the door, Max and Sophie's curiosity grew stronger than their fear. During quiet evenings, they huddled together in Max's room, whispering about what might be lurking behind that mysterious barrier. "What if it's treasure?" Max suggested, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Sophie, still clutching her stuffed bunny, countered, "What if it's a monster?" Both ideas thrilled them in different ways. The duo plotted and brainstormed ways to discover its secrets. They imagined elaborate plans involving flashlights and bravery badges, each idea sparking their imaginations further. Yet, in the back of their minds lingered a sense of dread. The whispers they heard at night felt like warnings from unseen forces. One night, as they lay in bed, Sophie finally voiced what had been troubling her. "Do you think we should tell Mom and Dad?" she asked quietly. Max shook his head adamantly. "No way. What if they just lock up the door? We can't let them do that." Their innocence clashed with the weight of uncertainty as they teetered on the edge of fear and curiosity, two siblings caught in a web of haunting mystery that begged to be unraveled. One rainy afternoon, as the Johnson family sat down for a cozy dinner, Max and Sophie decided to dig deeper into the house's history. They brought out an old library book they had found tucked away on a dusty shelf, titled Ghosts of Our Town. Flipping through the pages, they stumbled upon a chilling story that caught their attention. The house was once owned by the McAllister family, who mysteriously vanished one stormy night years ago. According to local legend, the parents and their two children disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of terror among the townsfolk. The book hinted that strange occurrences had begun in the house shortly after their disappearance, including unexplained noises and sightings of shadowy figures. The most disturbing detail was about the door at the end of the hallway. It was said to be a portal to another realm, a place where lost souls lingered. Excited yet frightened by this revelation, Max and Sophie exchanged nervous glances. They realized that the door might hold more than just secrets. It could be connected to the fate of the family who once lived there. Determined to uncover the truth, they felt both drawn to and terrified by what lay behind that door. One stormy night, the Johnson family settled down to sleep, unaware that tonight would be different. Thunder rumbled in the distance as raindrops lashed against the window. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the hallway, so forceful it jolted everyone awake. Tom shot up in bed, heart racing as he exchanged worried glances with Lisa. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Max and Sophie peeked out from their rooms, wide-eyed with fear. The unsettling sounds grew louder, accompanied by an icy breeze that swept through the hallway, chilling them to the bone. The children clutched each other, feeling the air grow heavier around them. "It's coming from the door," Sophie stammered, pointing toward the ominous green door that had haunted their thoughts for days. As another crash thundered through the house, Tom felt a surge of panic wash over him. He crept toward the door, compelled yet terrified to confront whatever lay behind it. With each step closer, the whispers from earlier echoed louder in his mind, filling him with dread, and they all seemed to call out for help from beyond that barrier. Tom stood before the door, heart pounding as he felt the weight of Lisa's gaze on his back. She stood a few steps behind him, her expression a mix of fear and apprehension. "Do you really think we should open it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tom hesitated, torn between the urge to uncover the truth and the instinct to protect his family from whatever lay beyond. With each passing second, the sound seemed to grow louder, echoing through the hallway like an urgent plea for release. Max and Sophie clutched each other tightly, their wide eyes darting from their father to the door, filled with both fascination and dread. Tom took a deep breath, feeling the icy breeze brush against his skin, urging him to act. "We can't just ignore it," he finally said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "We need to know what's happening." Lisa nodded slowly but remained tense, uncertainty etched on her face. Together, they reached for the doorknob, feeling its cold metal under their fingertips. The moment felt monumental. It was a decision that would either unveil hidden secrets or plunge them deeper into fear. With a trembling hand, Tom turned the doorknob and pushed the door open, the hinges creaking as if protesting against their decision. The family peered into the small room beyond, only to find it empty, devoid of furniture or any sign of life. Dust motes floated lazily in the dim light, and the air was thick with an unsettling silence that seemed to swallow their breaths. Yet, as they stepped inside, a palpable presence enveloped them, like a weight pressing down on their chests. The temperature dropped dramatically, making Lisa shiver uncontrollably. Max and Sophie instinctively huddled closer to their parents, their eyes wide with fear. The room felt alive in an indescribable way, as if shadows lurked just out of sight, watching their every move. Tom's heart raced as he scanned the corners, feeling a cold chill creep over him. "Did you feel that?" he whispered, looking at Lisa, who nodded slowly, her face pale with fright. The overwhelming sensation of being watched sent tremors through their bodies. They realized that while the room appeared empty, something sinister lay hidden just beneath the surface, ready to reveal itself at any moment. As the Johnson family stood in the eerie room, strange occurrences began to escalate almost immediately. The temperature plummeted further, and a low hum vibrated through the walls, seemingly drawing them deeper into the room's darkness. Suddenly, shadowy figures flickered at the edges of their vision, vanishing whenever they turned to look directly at them. Max gasped when he caught sight of a child's silhouette fleetingly passing by him, while Sophie clung to her parents, her eyes wide with terror. "I don't want to be here," she cried out, her voice echoing in the unsettling silence. Lisa felt an overwhelming urge to leave but also a strange compulsion to stay. Then came the whispers, soft, ghostly voices that resonated within their minds, repeating names and fragments of phrases that felt hauntingly familiar. Tom's heart raced as he stumbled back against the doorframe. The shadows thickened and closed in around them, distorting reality. Every night thereafter became a nightmare. Doors slammed shut on their own, chilling drafts washed over them like icy fingers, and visions of the McAllister family began haunting their dreams. They realized they had unleashed something dark from beyond that would not rest until it claimed its due. In the midst of their escalating terror, the Johnson family gathered in the small living room, eyes wide with fear and uncertainty. Tom clenched his fists, his thoughts racing as he exchanged glances with Lisa. "We need to talk about what's happening," he said, his voice trembling. The whispers from the night before echoed in his mind, urging him to take action. Sophie, still shaken, whispered, "Can't we just leave?" "I don't want to be here anymore." Max nodded in agreement, looking from his parents to the door that had caused so much dread. It was clear that the house held something malevolent, more than a mere door. It felt like a gateway to another realm. With a deep breath, Lisa finally said what they were all thinking. "I think we have to go, we can't stay here any longer." The family nodded in unison, a collective decision made from instinct and fear. They quickly gathered their belongings, hearts racing as they prepared to escape the house, hoping that once outside, they would leave behind the darkness that had clouded their new home. Together, they stepped into the night, vowing never to return. On their final night in the house, the Johnson family found themselves drawn back to the ominous door that had haunted them for weeks. Despite their fear, a mixture of determination and desperation surged within them. "We can't leave without knowing what's truly happening here," Tom said, his voice steady but low. Lisa, though trembling, nodded in agreement. As they gathered in the dimly lit hallway, Max and Sophie clutched each other tightly, their eyes wide with both fear and excitement. The air felt charged, as if the house itself was holding its breath. They approached the door together, the whispers from previous nights echoing in their minds like a chant urging them to confront the darkness. Tom pushed the door open one last time, and the shadows within seemed to swirl and pulse with a life of their own. This time, they stood firm, ready to face whatever awaited them. With hearts racing, they stepped inside, prepared to uncover the truth behind the strange occurrences and confront the malevolent force that had taken root in their home. It was now or never. The time had come to reclaim their lives from the grip of fear. Stepping out of the dark room, the Johnson family felt an overwhelming rush of relief, but also a lingering fear as they shut the door behind them one last time. The shadows seemed to retreat as they made their way down the hallway, but they could still sense the malevolent energy clinging to the air. Each step felt like a weight lifted, yet the chill of the house's history pressed against their backs. Reaching the front door, Tom paused and glanced back at the looming structure, the house that had entangled them in its terrifying grip. His heart raced with the adrenaline of escape mixed with sorrow for what they were leaving behind. "This is it," he said firmly, determination flooding his voice. Lisa squeezed his hand tightly, her expression resolute. "No more," she whispered as they pushed through the door and stepped into the cool night air. Max and Sophie followed, their hearts racing with excitement and fear as they finally turned away from the house. Together, they slammed the door shut behind them, sealing away the nightmares and vowing never to return to that haunted place again. The Johnson family was free at last, stepping into a future unfettered by darkness. As the Johnson family drove away from the haunted house, a profound sense of change washed over them. The experience had been terrifying, but it also revealed their strength and unity as a family. They spoke little during the ride, each lost in their own thoughts, but the atmosphere felt lighter, freer than it had in weeks. Max and Sophie exchanged glances, recognizing how deeply they were affected by what they had faced together. They felt braver now, having confronted their fears head-on. Lisa and Tom, meanwhile, reflected on the lessons learned about trust and the importance of listening to one another. The ordeal had drawn them closer, forging a new bond forged in the fires of shared terror. As they approached their new destination, a small apartment that would become their next home, they knew life would not be without challenges. Yet they were determined to face them together. The haunting echoes of that old house would remain with them forever, a reminder of both fear and resilience, a chapter in their lives that taught them the true meaning of family and courage. They vowed to cherish their newfound strength and never take each other for granted again.